Vice President Kamala Harris is not mentally impaired.
No, I just think she's crazy liberal. I don't question her.
But what do you think about that rhetoric?
I just think the better course to take is to prosecute the case that her policies are destroying the country. They're crazy liberal. 400,000 people have been let.
We always say on this show that Donald Trump is his own worst enemy, and that the worst thing that can happen for his campaign is for him to open his mouth really in any capacity, whether it be a speech, a press conference, or an interview. But today, we will take exception to that rule because it is not what Donald Trump said that is backfiring on him or devastating his campaign today. It is the things that his closest allies and advisors have said about him that are being leaked in some new reporting. A new book from Bob Woodward revealing all of the devastating things that have been said about Donald Trump and details that have been revealed that are absolutely upending his campaign in the worst way possible for him and the best way for us. And one of the most damning statements that was made about Donald Trump came from his own very good friend, his own little political pet in Lindsey Graham, who pretty much stabbed Donald Trump in the back with what he said. But I want to get into all that. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and want to support this channel, to hit that subscribe button and become a part of the community that we're building. It really goes a long way. Now, like I said, this new book from Bob Woodward is absolutely upending the Trump campaign in so many ways. It's not just what Lindsey Graham said. And so Donald Trump and his campaign are trying to push back on all of that, and they've recently released a statement about it that I want to check out. In a recently released statement from the Trump campaign on Bob Woodward's new book, they write, "None of these made-up stories by Bob Woodward are true and are the work of a truly demented and deranged man who suffers from a debilitating case of Trump derangement syndrome." Woodward is an angry little man and is clearly upset because President Trump is successfully suing him because of his unauthorized publishing of recordings he had previously made. President Trump gave him absolutely no access for his trash book that either belongs in the bargain bin of the fiction section of a discount bookstore or used as toilet tissue. Woodward is a total sleazebag who has lost it mentally, and he's slowed, lethargic, incompetent, and overall a boring person with no personality. So you can already tell that the Trump campaign is pretty upset about this book. A lot of those descriptions sound like they could apply to Trump. Lethargic, out of it, deranged, and corrupt certainly all apply to Donald Trump, but they are so shaken up by the revelations in this book, and the Lindsey Graham one specifically, I am sure are going to be really upsetting Donald Trump, as he has already been upset with Lindsey Graham and outwardly criticizing him for attacking what is just ridiculous tariff policy from Donald Trump. So before we get into what Lindsey had to say, I want to check out Donald Trump attacking him.
So if India charges our companies 100, we charge their companies 100. It's very simple. And yet we have people in Congress that say, no, I don't think that's good. Anybody that says that's no good, very interesting. Lindsey Graham, the progressive from South Carolina. No, he's a progressive, but he's got some good things too, okay? But Lindsey Graham, I said to him, Lindsey, you got to go along with this. We were all set to get it done. You got to go along with this. He says, so let me get this straight. If they charge us, we charge them the same thing. He said it's not his strength.
Of course, we know Trump and Lindsey Graham have a different history, an interesting history, but it is certainly going to get a lot worse because of what has been revealed about when Lindsey Graham is saying about Donald Trump behind his back, really stabbing him in the back. So let's get into that. Lindsey Graham compared Mar-a-Lago to North Korea in Bob Woodward's new book. One of Donald Trump's closest confidants has compared the former president's Mar-a-Lago, Florida estate to North Korea. Senator Lindsey Graham reportedly said, going to Mar-a-Lago is a little bit like going to North Korea. Everybody stands up and claps every time Trump comes in. Graham is quoted as saying that Biden won the 2020 election fair and square, but Trump doesn't like to hear that. A Trump supporter and golfing buddy, Graham has tried to give his GOP nominee advice for his 2024 campaign. You've got a problem with moderate women, the people that think the earth is flat and we didn't go to the moon. You've got them. Let that go, he is said to have told Trump after the midterm elections. I gave a speech today, and I only mentioned the 2020 election twice. Trump said to Graham a few days later, as if it had shown maximum restraint. Woodward writes, as Trump framed his presidential campaign around fear, Woodward writes that Graham said of the former president, Trump is becoming more erratic. These court cases, I think they'd rattle anybody. So not only did Lindsey Graham say the thing that Donald Trump hates the most, that President Biden won the 2020 election and it was a free and fair election, but he also said the thing that Trump is dreading the most, which is everyone coming to realize how much more deranged he is, how much more erratic he is, how much more he has lost it since 2020, when he barely had it. He is out of his mind. And Lindsey Graham is admitting that, and I'm sure it is driving Donald Trump even crazier than he already is. But that wasn't the only shocking revelation in this book. But before we get to what that was, I think we need to check out this ad from the Lincoln Project.
When Donald Trump was president the first time, the Russians wanted him to win.
He called him colorful, talented. He said Donald Trump is the absolute leader of the U.S. presidential race.
They helped him. He won.
Господина Трампа избрал американский народ. Можно спорить, но нельзя проявлять неуважение.
He never forgot it.
Do you welcome his
I
support?
like that he said that.
Over and over, Trump put Putin and Russia over American interests.
The problem is not that Putin is smart. The real problem is that our leaders are dumb.
He wants Putin to win in Ukraine.
I said, this is genius.
Told him Russia can do what it wants in attacking our NATO allies.
I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want.
He doesn't have a good relationship with Putin. He owes Putin. Trump's not just on the other side, he's on the take.
Donald Trump has long been Vladimir Putin's puppet. We know that to be true. And it's not just our assumption. It's not just our belief. It is something that is documented in this new book from Bob Woodward, how closely they have been connected even after Donald Trump has left the White House. And I want to get into that right here. In one scene, Woodward recounts a moment at Mar-a-Lago where Trump tells a senior aide to leave the room so he could have what he said was a private phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin. According to Trump's aide, there have been multiple phone calls between Trump and Putin, maybe as many as 7 in the period since Trump left the White House in 2021. Woodward writes, Woodward asked Trump aide Jason Miller whether Trump and Putin had spoken since he left the White House. Not that I'm aware of, Miller told Woodward. Trump aides are lying to protect him from what is true, from the truth coming out, of course. And that is that Donald Trump is Putin's puppet, and he is willing to do whatever Putin wants, of course, because he helped him win the 2016 election. And of course, because Donald Trump admires dictators, he looks up to them. He wants to be like them. It's why Lindsey Graham said that Mar-a-Lago is like North Korea, which I'm sure Donald Trump takes as a compliment, but certainly shouldn't be to any sane person. And speaking of sanity, Lindsey Graham recently tried to defend some attacks that Donald Trump has made, which are increasingly happening and just more and more ridiculous about VP Harris's IQ that Donald Trump wants to talk about. And I want to take a look at that.
Vice President Kamala Harris is not mentally impaired.
No, I just think she's crazy liberal. I don't question her.
But what do you think about that rhetoric?
I just think the better course to take is to prosecute the case that her policies are destroying the country. They're crazy liberal. 400,000 people have been let loose in our country. 16,000 people convicted of being a rapist. 13,000 convicted murderers, and 400,000 of people generally convicted of crimes released on her watch. It's not going to get better.
So I saw that statistic. We dove into it, our fact checker. That statistic is actually over decades. So some of those people you're talking about are people that came into the country during Trump. And second of all, Some of them are in prison. A lot of them are in prison not ICE prisons, but federal prisons for their crimes.
I can tell you this: the man who killed Laken Riley in Georgia was released by the Biden-Harris administration on parole because they had no capacity at the border to hold him. That's not a reason to parole people. I promise you, women have been raped and murdered. People have been hurt by illegal immigrants released into this country without detention. It is a nightmare. It is crazy. It's crazy to boycott a speech by the Prime Minister of Israel to a joint session of Congress thinking it won't embolden Iran. Well, it's crazy to withdraw from Afghanistan hoping things will be different this time. Medicare for all, Green New Deal, crazy stuff.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying she's crazy. I'm saying your party,
How can you defend this guy? The statements he makes are insane. The things he believes are even crazier. And it just shows the projection from Donald Trump to say that it's VP Harris who's mentally impaired. Also, just an offensive thing to say. But if we want to talk about someone's IQ and where their head is at, I think everything can be revealed about how smart Donald Trump is or really stupid he is in this clip right here.
Because I didn't have a chance with her. So, I said, Miriam, maybe I should stay back and, heading into a hurricane, Miriam. It made no difference. No, you have to be here. Our friends are there. And I said, okay, when you say that, I'm going to be there 100%. I'm going to be there. I was watching the airplane highways, and they were all heading this way as I was going that way. They said, what's he doing?
One candidate is focused on the future, solving problems, bringing us together, and Donald Trump is rambling about airplane highways. Does he mean the sky? I don't know. He's lost it. Lindsey Graham knows it. We know it. How about we all just agree to not have him be our president? I think that sounds like a good idea. If you do too, as always, you can make sure to hit that subscribe button and leave a like on this video if you enjoy our channel. If you're stuck around to the end, drop in the comments. Until next time, I'll see you soon.